Hello, Harrison Park students. This is one of my favorite bedtime stories. I used to ask for it a lot when I was a kid. Uh, if I Ran the Circus by Dr. Seuss. In all the whole town, the most wonderful spot is behind Sneelock's store in the big vacant lot. It's just the right spot for my wonderful plans, said young Morris McGurk, if I clean up the can. Now, a fellow like me, said young Morris McGurk, could get rid of this junk with a half hour's work. I could yank up those weeds and chop down the dead tree and haul off those old cars, they're just two or three, and then the whole place would be ready, you see. All ready to put up the tents for my circus. I think I will call it the Circus McGurkus. Circus McGurkus, the world's greatest show, on the face of the earth or wherever you go. The Circus McGurkus, the cream of the cream. The Circus McGurkus, the circus supreme. The Circus McGurkus, colossal, stupendous, astounding, fantastic, terrific, tremendous. I'll bring in my acrobats, jugglers, and clowns from 1,033 faraway towns to the place that you'll see 'em in, ladies and gents, right behind Sneelock's store and the great McGurk tents. And I don't suppose old Mr. Sneelock will mind when he suddenly has a big circus behind. After all, Mr. Sneelock is one of my friends. He might even help out doing small odds and ends, doing little odd jobs he could be of some aid, such as selling balloons in the pink lemonade. I think 500 gallons will be about right, and then I'll be ready for opening night. What an opening night! What a night! What a sight! I'll hoist up the curtains, the crowds will crowd in, and my Circus McGurkus will promptly begin with a welcoming toot on my welcoming horn by my horn-tooting apes from the jungles of Jorn, where the very best horn-tooting apes are all born. The very fresh air there is fine for their lungs, and some of those fellows have 2 or 3 tongues. Instrument looks amazing. This way, step right in, this way, ladies and gents. My sideshow starts here in the first of my tents. When you see what goes on, you'll say no other circus is half the great circus the Circus McGurkus is. Here on stage 1, from the ocean of Ulf, is a sight most amazing. A walrus named Rolf, who can stand on one whisker, this wonderful Rolf, on the top of 5 balls, 2 for tennis, 3 golf. A marvelous trick, if I say so myself. Myself is spelled incorrectly. And on stage number 2, here is something quite new. From a country called From comes this drum-tummied snum, who can drum any tune that you might care to hum. Doesn't hurt him a bit, 'cause his drum-tummy's numb. And now you'll meet the Foon, the remarkable Foon, who eats sizzling hot pebbles that fall off the moon. And the reason he likes them red hot, it appears, is he greatly enjoys blowing smoke from his ears. Of course, pebbles like these are quite hard to collect. Sneelock will manage somehow, I expect. After all, Mr. Sneelock is one of my friends, and I'm sure he'll help out doing small odds and ends. And on stage number 4, see the wily Waloo, who can throw his long tail as a sort of lasso. With a flip of the hip with the tail of his kind, he can capture whoever is standing behind. He can capture old Sneelock. I'm sure he won't mind. Now, here is a hoodwink, who winks in his wink hood. Without a good wink hood, a hoodwink can't wink good. And folks, let me tell you, there is only one circus with wink-hooded hoodwinks. The Circus McGurkus. And now come to the spot where the spotlight is hot. And you'll see in the spotlight a juggling jot, who can juggle some stuff you might think he could not, such as 22 question marks, which is a lot, also 44 commas, and also 1 dot. That's the kind of a Circus McGurkus I've got. Can you find the 1 dot? Here, I'll show you where it is. Right here. There's the dot. That's just my sideshow. Start, a beginning. This way to the big tent. You'll find your head spinning. Why, ladies and gentlemen, youngsters and oldsters, your head will quite likely spin right off your shouldersters. So hurry, step lively, quick, ladies and gents, and get into your seats in my tent of all tents. My parade of parades is about to commence. You'll see Drum Major Sneelock fling-flang his baton, and my organ McGorgon McGurkus come on, with its hot steaming pipes of gold brass-plated tin snorting all sorts of snorts in a bumbling din that is super stupendous, stupendous, stu-roars. And when I play Dixie, please join in the chorus. Fluff muffled truffle will ride on a huffle. Here. And next in the line, a fine flummox will shuffle. Here. The flummox will carry a lurch in a pail. Here. And a fibble will carry the flummox's tail. Here. While on top of the flummox, 3 harp-twanging snarp will twang mighty twangs on their 3-snarper harp. Here. While a bolster blows bloops on a 3-nozzled blueser. Here. A nolster blows floops on a 1-nozzle newser. It'll be here. And then comes a lion who's partly a trout, right here. Then more stuff for 45 minutes about. Then, behind them, while everyone stares, come my to and fro marchers, who march in 5 layers. Fros march on twos, and the twos march on fros. Don't know how they do it, but that's how it goes. And now comes an act of enormous enormance. No former performers performed this performance. The stunt is too grippingly, slippingly frightening. Down from the top of my tent like greased lightning, through pots full of lots of big sticklebush trees, slides a man. What a man! On his roller skate skis, and he'll steer without fear, and you'll know at a glance that it's Sneelock, the man who takes chance after chance, and he won't even rip a small hole in his pants. And now here, in this cage, is a beast most ferocious, who's known far and wide as the Spotted Atrocious, who growls, howls, and yowls the most blood-curdling sounds, and each tooth in his mouth weighs at least 60 pounds. And he chews up and eats with the greatest of ease things like carpets and sidewalks and people and trees. The great Colonel Sneelock is just the right kind of a man who can tame him. I'm sure he won't mind. Then I'll let Sneelock off for a few minutes' rest. While high over your heads you will see the best of the world's finest, fanciest breezy trapezing. My Zoom-a-Zoop troop from West Upper Bendeezing, who never quite know while they zoop and they zoom whether which will catch what one, or who will catch whom, or if who will catch which by the what, and just where, or just when, and just how, and which part of the air. I know some acrobats, and they would never perform like this. It's too dangerous. Aye, what a circus, my circus McGurkus. My workers love work. They say, work us. Please work us. We'll work, and we'll work up so many surprises. You'd never see half if you had 40 eyeses. And now, again Sneelock, brave Sneelock is back, risking life on my patented life-risking track, while the speedsters I call my colliding collusions race round in swift cars called abrasion contusions, and Sneelock just lies there, not one bit excited. I know he won't mind. He'll be simply delighted. And while that goes on there, look at this go on here. Have you heard of my herd of through-horn jumping deer? Every deer jumps through the horns of another pell-mell, while his horns are jumped through at the same time as well, by a deer whose horns also are being jumped through by another who's having his horns jumped through too, which I'm sure trainer Sneelock can train them to do. In my tournament nights, noble apes without fears, Sir Hector, Sir Vector, Sir Bops, and Sir Beers, Sir Hawkins, Sir Dawkins, Sir Jocks, and Sir Jeers, batter into the tent, and while everyone cheers, stage a roustabout joust with their boxing glove spears. While all this wild ruckusing goes on below, at the top of the tent, look, the star of my show, great daredevil Sneelock, the world's bravest type. He comes pulled through the air by 3 Subrian snipe on a dingus contraption attached to his pipe. And while people below are all turning chalk white, all biting their fingernails off in their fright, great Sneelock soars up to a terrible height. Then he shakes himself loose. He starts down in a dive, such as no man on earth could come out of alive. But he smiles as he falls, and no fear does he feel. His nerves are like iron, his muscles like steel, and he plunges down, down, with his hair still comb neat, 4,692 feet. Then he'll land in a fishbowl. He'll manage just fine. Don't ask how he'll manage. That's his job, not mine. Why, he'll be a hero. Of course he won't mind when he finds that he has a big circus behind.